Hi everyone, it's Karen here. Welcome, day 2 of our 24 days of tags for 2021. And today I'm going to share with you this super mottled background which I created using a gel plate, distress oxides and some water. So I'm using greens and yellows. On top of it, I've put the fabulous stencil from Sweet Poppy Stencils, Mistletoe Wreath. It's really pretty, lots you can do with this one. If you didn't catch me yesterday, which was our first day, go and have a look, because there I give you full details on how I did the setup for each of the tags. But they are 6.5 centimetres by 12.5 centimetres long, and then I measured 1 centimetre in, 1 centimetre down, and just snipped the corners at a diagonal. I'm using ribbons for each of the tags, and they're 34 centimetres in length. And for this one, I've got 2 colours that coordinate with the colours on my tag. And I just folded it in half and flipped it through the hole that I made at the top of the tag. So I'm using super smooth card for this. It's 300 GSM. We will get started. The size plate that I'm going to be using is a 3 by 5 inch gel plate. If you don't have that, no worries. You can do it on a larger plate. And then what I would do is use a larger piece of card and cut it into smaller pieces. That way you'll land up with lots of pieces to make cards, tags, etc. with. So we're going to be using mustard seed, which is what we've popped in the middle. And then round the edge we've got mowed lawn and rustic wilderness. Mowed lawn is just a fabulous green for Christmas. And then we've got black soot for our stenciling. Using a stencil brush, I'm going to apply the rest of it with my smoothies. And then I've coloured the berries on the mistletoe wreath with white opal liquid pearls. So we will put the black soot away, move this out of the way, and we are going to start with Rustic Wilderness. We're going to start with a darker green. Get me a piece of paper ready. And then using my smoothie in a dabbing, bouncing motion, I'm just going to pop some colour around the edge of our plate. You really want to be really gentle and soft with this, because if you bounce too hard, you'll land up with something like that along the edge of your design. And that's not what we want. We want something nice and smooth and even. So I'm just going over where I've already been, backwards and forwards, so that when we lift the plate and the pull, we're going to land up with a nice even coverage. If you didn't catch yesterday and you want to catch the whole series, find me on YouTube, they're all there. I do have a Facebook group as well, which is Karen Telfer Craft Creative Community, if you haven't found that yet. And that's where we're sharing all the makes from yesterday. As I say, 24 days all in a row. So that's my Rustic Wilderness applied. And now I'm going to take mowed lawn. Just going to take a bit more of this darker green off my smoothie. And I'm going to pick up some of my mowed lawn and just pop it over, around, and slightly inside the area that I'd created with my Rustic Wilderness. Just a tiny bit there. There we go. This is not a science, guys, okay? So you do whatever you feel like, however you want it to look. I'm picking up my mustard seed now, and you'll see every time you do this, you'll get a different look. The different look depending on the blend of colours that you've used and how much water you apply. So we'll get to that in a second. So I've just put a tiny bit of yellow in the centre of that frame that we created with the green. Then I'm going to take my spritzy bottle, put a tiny bit of water onto my mat, and using a fan brush, I'm just going to pick up a bit of that water. If you had a fine spray on your spritzy bottle, you might even be able to spray it straight over your gel plate, but I quite like the control that I have when I tap this. I'm just tapping it with another brush to get those lovely even splatters. I'm going to stop there. If you've got a larger plate, you'll want to apply a bit more water, but I think this should give us something quite lovely. Just going to get another piece of card to pop on top of it. I love this feeling. It's so therapeutic, isn't it? Ooh la la. And then when you pull it up, you have this lovely mottled background. And as I said, if you put a bit more water on it, you're going to have something a lot more smushed and fluid. So it just depends whatever look you like. I was after something a bit more mottled like this, so that's what we have. It dries pretty quickly. Talking about our gel plate now, what to do with that? I will just pick up any excess ink that's still on the plate like that, and then I'd be ready to do some more. At the end of my morning, because I tend to do a batch lot of these, because as I say, I just find it so therapeutic. At the end of the morning, to clean my gel plate, I'll just pop a tiny bit of hand sanitizer onto the plate. Using a piece of kitchen towel, I will just wipe it clean. There we have it. And then I will store that in my metal tin. If you don't have metal tins, store it in the original clamshell, but peel the acetate that comes with it, peel that off. Don't throw that away, because we use that when we're blending. If you watched me yesterday, you'll see that I use it to cover my work whilst I blend around the rest of it. So we'll pop this away for now. Clean this up. And bring our tag back. So here's my magnetic sheet, because this is a magnetic stencil, and I'm going to pop this over here, because that's what we're going to have. We're going to have 2 layers of this stencil. It just, with all these lovely dots and berries, I just think it gives us a lovely amount of texture. I am going to use some low tack stencil tape, again from Sweet Poppy Stencils, the best I've ever found, and I looked around a lot. And the reason I want to put there is because as I'm going with my blending brush, I don't want to go over the edge of my stencil and mess up the rest of my tag. So black soot and my blending brush, loaded up with a good amount of ink. And I'm just going to move the brush in a circular motion through the stencil, so that we're going to get a nice application of ink onto our tag. I'll save my tape. You can see I wasn't careful how I lifted that off, right? Because this tape is so good, it's not going to mark my card. And then I'm going to flip it round and do the same on this side. And that's the beauty. Did you hear that click? That's the beauty of metal stencil onto my magnetic plate. It just hooks in really nicely. And then just another tiny layer in there. And that's the gorgeous thing about these blending brushes. They get into all the nooks and crannies of the stencil there. So just really pretty, easy tag and background. Just talking about how I would clean my stencil. I've always got an assortment of cotton tea towels, lint-free muslin tea towels right next to where I'm sitting. That's to clean my stamps, to clean my work surface, and to clean my stencils. Just my spritzy bottle here, and I'm just going to wipe it clean. You can see I'm having it flat. Turn it over, and the same again. And I'll pop that over to dry whilst we finish the rest of our tag. So now I'm going to take my liquid pearls, my white opal. Always before I start, I will use a spare piece of paper or acetate to test the pressure. Then you know how hard you're going to squeeze to get the relevant sized berries. If you squeeze a lot, it's going to come out with force. If you hold it close to the page, it's going to squelch. That is a technical term. This is not as dimensional as something like enamel accents. It dries a lot quicker though. But for this one, I love it. It's got this pearly look that you don't get with enamel accents. And naturally you could do red berries if that was your want. And there we have all of our liquid pearls is done. Now, I quite liked the look of this tag. If you wanted it darker or lighter, you can go around the edge with your Distress Oxides. It's a bit daft. I should have done that before I did my liquid pearls. So don't do it this way, okay? If you want to make the edges darker, do it before you've done your liquid pearls. And normally I would blend around the edge this way, but given that we do have these liquid pearls here and I'm likely to smudge them if I do that, I'm going to do it this way. This is so much harder, so do it before you put your liquid pearls on, but it's not the end of the world if you don't, as you can see. There we have it. And then once this is dry, then I will just punch my hole and thread my ribbons through. I cut my ribbons at an angle, just gives them a nice end to them. So there we have it, our lovely background with Distress Oxides and water on a gel plate. I'd love to see your makes. Thanks for watching. Bye for now, and I'll be back soon.